Hello everyone, my name is Phoenix. I'm the legal advisor for Exceed the Bar. We are a company who specialize in legal advisory or providing legal advisory and business psychology services. One of the services that we offer is to tutor law students and to guide them through the various LLB modules. We groom people for careers in law. And we also offer legal recruitment, law recruitment to place candidate legal practitioners, that is, pupils, candidate attorneys in suitable positions. Our content is supplementary and complementary to all university LLB degree modules. The preamble to the Constitution of South Africa lays out several of our country's visions, but amongst these visions is the imperative to free the potential of each and every person in this country. We recognize the potential of every person, and we want every law student in particular to do well in their careers. To this end, we will seek to sharpen your legal prowess, your knowledge, your skills, and to guide you through your studies to a full in-depth understanding of law. We will also help iron out any problematic subject areas that you may encounter. Our offering includes practical visual skills and things that you may not be taught at law school or university. Our materials are loaded with tips and efficient ways of processing things in law. As part of our post-study services, we endeavor to offer law firms and their principals with best matched students, readily chiseled for their articles or pupillage, and to place students on a solid footing to a career in law. You can browse our website at www.exceedthebar.com. Our contact details are included at the end of this particular workshop. Thank you for joining us. We come now to how to master the study guide. And I don't think there's any need for any introduction as to what a study guide is. These are some examples taken from UNISA's study guides for law of specific crimes, contracts, civil procedure, criminal law. So you get this, and the next question is, well, how do I approach the study guide? How do I master it? We recommend you do several readings, but on the first reading, you need to get the big picture. So you need to get a quick overview of the subject and make a note of the things you don't understand. This exercise or this reading, this first reading, should not take more than 5-10 minutes. It's really just to orientate yourself with that study guide. So again, there's some pictures of study guides. First thing you do is you just start studying each module by first reading the study guide before the textbook. The reason why we recommend reading the study guide before the textbook is simply because it guides you through the textbook. So you kind of develop a mental checklist of what I need to study in the textbook, and also the study guide grapples with some basic concepts and things. So it will give you a good understanding before you even start reading the textbook. And of course, other material, recommended material, or whatever is put to you to study for that particular course. Well, of course, unless you love the deep end. But I advise to read your study guide through just once, from cover to cover for your first reading. Give it a fast read. Maybe 5 to 10 minutes is too quick for you if you read slow and if it's a very thick study guide. But in any case, just read through it once. In a notebook next to you, jot down the concepts that you don't understand on your first read. Just the concepts, just put there, okay, I don't understand what contract means. I don't understand what hearsay evidence means, etc. And then Once you've done that, you return to the beginning of the study guide. And you will notice that most study guides follow the same format. So, of course, you get the introduction. It explains what the course is about. Thank you for doing this course, blah, blah, blah. These are the lecturers that you need to contact or who are in charge of the course, and how you can get hold of them. And, of course, it also outlines the outcomes that you're expected to achieve for that particular study module. And then what follows is the chapters of the guide aligning to the various chapters of the textbook. Broadly, it's not always like this in every study guide, but that's the general sort of thing. Then, once you've read through it cover to cover, I recommend you give a second reading. And this seeks to understand how the subject fits into the different legal categories. The study guides also refer to chapters as learning units, by the way. So, I mean, we can use these concepts interchangeably. But in any case, the first unit of your study module of your particular course, say you're studying international law, it usually presents an overview of the module. So just read it, browse through it, skim read it. But don't worry too much if you don't get it, because all will be repeated with more detail as each chapter unfolds. The idea is that each chapter builds on the previous chapter. So just read it to get a general big picture of the field of law that you're studying. The second unit usually deals with key concepts within the module, and it touches on the sources where the field of law derives its knowledge from and where it fits into the general scheme of law. Students do tend to get confused. They waste time here. So learn not to overcomplicate things. It's not hard to fly through these sections. The meatier stuff will come. The next chapters deal with specific aspects of the particular field of law being studied. So I've given an example here. Family law deals with marriage, divorce, the rights of children, etc. And so each chapter in your study guide may deal with a different aspect. First chapter may be marriage, second chapter divorce, third chapter rights of children, etc., etc. You get the picture. You will also usually find a chapter that touches on interrelated aspects of law, and this is very important, especially as you progress through your studies at higher levels, years 2, 3, 4, because the application of that particular field to customary law and what possibly raises challenges in terms of the constitutional transformation project. You need to bear these things in mind as these widen and solidify your understanding of law. And the reason why interrelated aspects arise, such as customary law, international law, the constitutional transformation project, it is because our courts have a duty to consider customary law, international law, and of course the option of foreign law as needed. Where does it say that in the Constitution? Come on. Section 39, right, the interpretation of the Bill of Rights and other parts of the Constitution. Any case, then of course you will find activities, usually problem type questions in between. So don't worry about those in your study guide. First you must master the material and then attempt the activities. We're going to give some shortcuts to all of this as we go through this module. How to place subject matter into different legal categories. I am giving you a manual method using a hard copy, which is different from actually making notes, which we will handle in section 3 of the workshop. When reading anything in law, understand that legal knowledge can easily be categorized into any of the following. And I'm going to give you a list here with some abbreviations. There you see there's a categories of definitions, there's rules, there's principles, requirements, exceptions, exclusions, conditions, grounds, procedure. These are categories of law. No matter what law you study, there is always a rule to be applied. There's a principle to be applied. There are procedures and processes in place according to legislation, customary practices, etc. Grounds, you can see there I put their OGO, on grounds of, so I've given it an abbreviation. Rules, that one's come out a little bit smaller, like the registered trademark, but in any case, it doesn't mean registered trademark in this sense. In this sense, I'm just making an R in a circle to show that whatever in the text refers to a rule. Bear with me, it's going to come apparent what I mean just now. There are some more categories: factors, remedies, legal questions, tests, theories. And of course, there's abbreviations for the different kinds of courts. So, I mean, constitutional court, let's call it the CC. Constitution, make a C with a circle in it, doesn't mean that is copyright in this sense. Supreme Court of Appeal, SCA, HCRC, MC. I also, if a case arises, I will write in the margin of my textbook or my study guide the year, like 2007, so 07 SCA. Then it's easy to spot when I go back and do revision. It also keeps perspective, especially when understanding how certain precedents have developed over time. Our courts apply precedents through the common law, through rulings they've made, judgments that's been passed down. There are certain precedents that have been set for certain, scenarios. And very important, why I stress putting the year of the case is because lawyers, legal practitioners, in other words, think chronologically, and you must make this a habit. To think chronologically means I must think in terms of time sequence, from oldest to newest. So the idea whilst reading is just to make notes in the margin of the study guide, especially when you have thin margins and you can't write much. There's not always 2 or 3 inches on the side of the page. So it's simple just to put a little abbreviation like this in the margin of your page. It'll come apparent just now. I'll show you. Abbreviating the category you read makes it easy to find and makes you understand what you are reading. So I suggest you underline all definitions and rules as you read, and then just, place a DEF or a R in a circle in the margin, and then place the abbreviation in the margin next to the text. Get it? I think you get it. I'm repeating myself a little bit here. So, this is how a typical study guide looks after a second reading. Remember, you've already read the study guide cover to cover, all 70 pages or whatever. It's taken you, I said 5 to 10 minutes in the beginning if you're a fast reader. If you're a slow reader, maybe it'll take you an hour or 2. But then you've got the gist of what's going on in that book. On the second reading, you're now going to be making notes in the study guide. Take a pencil, because you can always rub it out if you've made a mistake. But there we go. That is what we do. You can see I've taken this from Law of Evidence study guide when I studied it. So the left margin of your page will contain a few words of what each paragraph is about. You need to be able just to sum it up. You can even put a few keywords there, what that paragraph is about, like I've done there. You can see in the left-hand margin, or on the right-hand side page, the right margin. But generally, I put the keywords in the left-hand margin, and on the right-hand margin, I just put my little indicators that I can find that thing, category, very easily. So at the top of each page, I will place a summary title of what the page is about, and beneath that, I'll place a few key concepts that that page discusses. So you can see on the right-hand page there, I've put there the admissibility of printouts, and underneath it, the text basically compares hearsay versus best evidence. And that is all within the context of admissibility of printouts. Then you will also see in the margins there, I've got my abbreviations. So if I'm doing revision, or I'm looking for an answer, I can quickly just look for, okay, is this question about criticism? Let me go find wherever I put criticism in my summary. Examples, rules especially, legal questions, tests, rules. These are very important things in law, and you will find when you're doing questions, even examination questions, they're always asking you about these things in order that you can apply them to a given set of facts. Here I've put factors. You can also put subscript F1, F2, F3 to list out the different factors. They love asking questions on that. There you can see I've put SEA 2015. I could have just put SEA 15, whatever suits you. And H, the SEA held, or it ruled, or it decided, whatever in that case. So it's easy to spot these categories when you do your second reading, and it also makes it easier when you do your assignments and you revise for exams. And also, guys, don't underestimate the power of your study guide, even when you go into practice. Judges even have refer back to study guides, textbooks, etc., in order to elucidate certain concepts that they are dealing with at that point in time. As we said in the previous slide, you can never know it all. You can never, ever certainly remember it all. So you need to make for yourself a study admin system where you are constantly referencing and making it easy for yourself. Believe me, your future self is going to thank you for this. You will get to second, third, fourth year, and you will find you are still going to have to refer back to the basic study guides of your first year and so forth until you've really perfected the art of law. There's also an art to law, guys. Coming now to map out or illustrate problem scenarios for better understanding. What do I mean by that? Well, in your study guide and your textbook, you will often come across problem scenarios, given a given set of facts that you actually need to mind map out in order to make sense of what those facts are all about. And sometimes they are very simple things, but if you've got a little picture in your head about what that particular problem is, A versus B, X versus Z, whatever, it'll be so much easier. So there you can see I've given a scenario. There's several scenarios there. You can see A, B, C, D. There's F for factors. You understand. R20K, in other words, 20,000 Rand, whatever. You will be able to understand your scenario when you do a mind map on the problem. So if the margins are too small for scenario mapping, then create a Word doc or write in a notebook alongside your guide. Remember, study is an active process. Precedents set in court are not concerned with who the litigants are. All right, so when you read a case, we're not really too concerned about who the litigants are necessarily. What we are interested in is the legal rule and the principle that sets the precedent. And these will be derived from the case. When you're doing the theoretical side of your studies, dealing with concepts and things like that in your study guide, the same applies. Every legal problem can be reduced to a set of events that led to a problem. And remember, you need to get things down chronologically as well. Be a stickler for facts. You will find when you get to studying, I think it's in your fourth year, you're going to be doing litigation skills for legal practitioners. Very, very, very important. A marvelous professor there, Marnavik, has written volumes on litigation science, and he will tell you very straight to your face, dude, you need to stick to the facts, because the facts are what counts in court, and the facts are what are going to be challenged. Right, so key to the facts is usually some form of time component. a sequencing of events. These events characterize the type of problem or legal question that is posed. Right, statute or case law generally determines which legal precedent applies. And I mean, these are things you're going to learn in the courses that we provide. I'm just giving you a broad outline right now. Every case is always about X versus Z, X or Y, A versus B, P versus D, whatever, whether single or several litigants. Recognizing the events characterizing a given problem leads to identifying similar cases in which precedent was set. And from here, you'll be able to identify and apply the rules and principles arising that will lead to answering that legal problem. You need to be able to correlate those rules and break the legal problem into its components, right? Very important. And that is why I prefer that you draw these problem scenarios, because it shows the different components. What happened? What did A do? How did B respond? What was involved? Where does the legal problem arise? Etc., etc. And breaking it down into its little problems or subcomponents of the legal problem will spell out both the legal problem, the legal question, and the solution. It will point you what sort of rules or principles need to be applied. Always, one party claims loss or disadvantage by the other, whether it's civil or criminal, so you need to break the problem into those basics. I don't think, although I've read much of this, I mean, you're going to have this in your downloadable PDF as well, or the video that you can rewatch, and you can also rewatch it in 2x speed. Up to you. So we've said already there's 2 readings. Now remember, you've gone through an in-depth reading. We're now going to give a 3rd reading, and this is a manual method using a laptop. Right, so in other words, you can do your first reading, read it cover to cover. Second reading, physically go and make your markings, or you can do it third this way by doing it in the actual electronic version. You usually get a PDF, and in your PDF you'll have the ability to highlight highlight text and color it in a certain color. I would recommend that you try to stick to doing it electronically, for the mere fact that we are becoming, or we are already, a digital society. So you need to wean yourself into becoming paperless. Understand? So I mean, my own experience is I hardly make any notes in the PDF or doc, like with sticky notes or comments. What I do is I color code my text. All right, and there what I'm talking about is you can, for example, say highlight all the definitions in the text in a green color. This is what I do. When I see a light pink highlight, I'll know that that refers to all rules, case laws, and statutes. I do ice blue for all questions. And trust me, this is like brilliant, because when you're looking for example, an answer to the assignment, it's usually based on somewhere in the text that you've studied in your study guide and or textbook. We'll get to the textbook in the next video. But you just go and page through or scroll through the whole PDF document of your study guide, and when you see there's blue, just go there. You're going to find a lot of answers. The tests that get applied, test is a category in law. I mark out in dark orange, and etc. You can develop your own scheme, whatever suits you, but this is what suits me, and this is what I've been doing for years, and it really, really works. I find that even when I'm going through, for example, a client brief, I'm applying the same scheme because the same things apply. So there's nothing stopping you from highlighting your hard copy. But as I said, because we want to try to be paperless and adjust to this new way of law, just try do it electronically. It's going to be a lot simpler, and it's going to keep your desk clean. So the idea is, when looking back at the electronic study guide, just look for the colors. It's very simple like that. It's a lot of work, guys. It can take some time if you're not electronically or digitally literate, but I'm sure most of you are by now. Any case, it's easy to do in PDF. Your future self is going to thank you for this. It's going to kiss your feet. Yeah, what's Besides doing all this work, it causes you again to engage with the text. So there's method in the madness in advising the study method. It makes study an active process. It's not just about making your study guide pretty, right? Yeah, I think that pretty much exhausts that. So here, to give you an example of how a typical electronic copy study guide looks on a third read, here's from my study guide on the law of delict. You can see the different colors. So immediately when you see blue, you must think, yeah, there's questions there. When you see green, it's a definition. You see, and see how easy it is to spot these things when you're doing revision. And just plain simple referencing. You'll see there that in the study guide, they'll put their prescribed book, chapter 3, paragraphs 1 and 2, for example. We have not read that textbook yet, so when we read it, it'll be easy to refer to the categories identified in the study guide. So there under the commentary, you can see we've got all the different things there. We've got the rules, we've got the definitions, we've got the tests. We've got the reasoning or the criticism behind the theory. We've got the exceptions that apply. There's requirements, obviously the questions, and whatever is significant. So with these things, we have a good idea what we need to study in the textbook when we get there. And as I say, it's also excellent revision. So in short, I mean, you can do all of this. You can do your first reading, second or third reading, or you can do both even. It's up to you. The more the merrier, hey? But this active component is going to set you up in order to study the textbook. It will also give you your own questions that will come up, like, gee, I didn't realize what this meant. Oh, is that what it is? Hold on, I need to clarify. What is wrongfulness? I see there's different elements. Oh boy. And then you set up for the textbook. Thank you for watching this video. Please do watch the next one. It is brilliant. Guys, I'm giving you the keys to success here in studying law. And of course, share this video as far and wide as you like. Thank you.